That night is etched in my memory like it just happened. With our parents out, it was only me and my twin sister, Megan, in the house. But what unfolded that evening shifted everything. It began like any other night. Growing up with someone your entire life creates this unspoken rhythm you slip into without even noticing. Our parents were gone, and the house felt eerily quiet with just the faint buzz of the fridge or the soft groan of the floorboards under our feet. Megan and I had been left alone countless times, so it was no big deal. We'd usually turn those evenings into our own little universe where time seemed to stretch as if daring us to make something of it. I'm a few minutes older than Megan, and though I'm a guy and she's a girl, we've always looked strikingly similar. I was sprawled on the couch, scrolling aimlessly on my phone, not really focused. Megan lounged across from me in her usual spot, one arm slung over the couch's back, her gaze drifting between the TV and some private thought. She was so familiar, like an extension of myself. Yet that night, something about her felt off. The air seemed heavy, as if the walls were eavesdropping. The fridge's hum sounded louder, and every creak in the house hit like a jolt. "Want to watch something?" Megan's voice cut through the stillness, sudden and casual. She glanced at me, and for a moment, her eyes locked onto mine in a way that threw me off balance. I shrugged, trying to act nonchalant. "Up to you," I mumbled. She flashed a playful smirk. "Super helpful as always," she teased, snatching the remote and scrolling deliberately slow, probably just to mess with me. I chuckled at her typical theatrics. "Keep dawdling and I'm picking a cheesy rom-com," I warned. "No way," she shot back, laughing. Things with Megan were always effortless. We bantered like two sides of the same coin. But beneath the easy jokes, something else lingered, a quiet weight, like a distant storm brewing. She settled on a movie we'd watched a million times, one you don't need to focus on because you know every line by heart. We sank into the couch, the TV's glow casting faint shadows across the room, but my mind wasn't on the screen. My thoughts kept wandering to her, familiar yet strangely new. I caught her stealing a quick glance at me from the corner of her eye. It was fleeting, almost imperceptible, but it sent a shiver through me. Megan's always been the fearless one, never hesitating to speak her mind. But that night she seemed hesitant, like me. You could sense it in her slight shifts or the way her fingers grazed the couch as if reaching for something intangible between us. "What's up?" I asked, breaking the silence, tired of the tension. She shook her head, offering a faint smile, but her eyes hinted at something unspoken. "Nothing," she said, too quickly. "Liar." "Fine, maybe something," she admitted, leaning forward, elbows on her knees. The TV's light illuminated her face, highlighting features so like mine. "Ever think it's strange, being twins?" she asked. "How so?" "People act like we're one person." "Sure, I'm a girl, you're a guy, but we've got the same face, same quirks, same everything, yet we're not identical," she explained. I nodded, her words striking a chord deep inside. People always grouped us together as if we were a single entity, but she was right, we weren't. Megan was bold, diving headfirst into life. I tended to hang back, observing. But in that moment, with her opening up like this, she felt closer to me than ever. Vulnerable, uncertain, real? My mind was a whirlwind. Was this just curiosity? Fear? Or something deeper? She held my gaze as if urging me to voice thoughts I hadn't even formed. "People just find it easier to see us as the same," I said softly, quieter than intended. "We've never really corrected them," I added. Her stare didn't waver, intense and searching. "Maybe it's time we did," she said. It sounded simple, but her tone made my pulse race. Before I could respond, she leaned back as if everything was normal again. But it wasn't. I turned to the TV, pretending to watch, but my thoughts were tangled, caught between the comfort of our routine and a new, unspoken pull. The minutes crawled by, the silence growing heavier, thick with things we weren't saying. I didn't know how to break it or if I even should, but Megan, as always, found a way. "You're awfully quiet tonight," she said gently, her voice stripped of its usual teasing edge. "What's swirling in that head of yours?" "Nothing," I lied, the truth too messy to unravel. "Just wiped out." She didn't press, but her eyes lingered as if trying to decipher what I wouldn't say. For a second, I thought she'd call my bluff, but instead, she inched closer. Her knee brushed mine, deliberate and electric. The contact sent a spark through me, and I fought to keep my face neutral. Sure, nothing, she said, her tone lighter, almost playful, but with an undercurrent like she was testing the waters. My heart picked up speed. I forced a smile and shrugged. Yup, nothing. The tension between us was palpable now, a shared awareness we couldn't ignore. It was in her glances, in the charged air around us, like the room was holding its breath, waiting for something to shift. As the night wore on, we gravitated closer without meaning to. Megan's laughter filled the space, briefly restoring that familiar ease, like old times. But beneath it, that strange undercurrent persisted, quiet but undeniable. In that stillness, it hit me, this wasn't just another night. Something between us had changed permanently. Megan was usually the lively one, always filling silences with jokes or stories. But tonight, she was different, quieter, as if something in her had shifted too. I felt it in every accidental brush of our knees, every lingering look. It wasn't awkward or wrong, it was something else, a thrill I was reluctant to name. Do you ever wonder what it'd be like if we weren't twins? She asked suddenly, pulling me from my thoughts. I blinked, caught off guard. What do you mean? She leaned back, shrugging. Just, maybe things would feel different. Her words hung there, vague but heavy, with no clear resolution. I wanted to press her, but I didn't. She seemed unsure herself. Hard to imagine, I said after a pause. We've always just been us? Yeah, she murmured, her gaze flicking to me briefly before drifting away. Always? That word carried a weight I couldn't quite grasp. Before I could dwell on it, Megan stood. Want a drink? I'm grabbing one, she said. Sure, I replied, my voice softer than I meant. I watched her head to the kitchen, my mind racing, grappling with the shift between us. Megan had always been my closest confidant, the one who understood me better than anyone. But tonight, we were teetering on the edge of something new, something undefined. She returned with a glass of water, her fingers brushing mine as she handed it over. The touch lingered, intentional. She sat closer now, her leg pressed against mine as she settled back. It was subtle, but it tightened my chest. My pulse quickened, and I couldn't pretend I didn't feel it. Do you ever wonder why we avoid the heavy stuff? She asked quietly. I frowned, puzzled. Like what? We're tight, right? Closer than most, but there's still things we never touch on. Everyone's got stuff they keep to themselves, I said, but the words felt hollow even to me. She turned to me, her eyes piercing, searching. But we're not everyone, Jason. We're us. Her words landed hard. She was right. Our bond was unique, a silent understanding that didn't need words, yet there were still barriers, things we left buried. I guess, I said, fumbling for words. You guess, she echoed, a faint smile tugging at her lips. That's all you've got? I rolled my eyes, trying to lighten the mood. What do you want from me? Something honest, she said softly. I didn't know how to answer. Her gaze was overwhelming, stripping me bare. I turned back to the TV, pretending to focus, but I saw nothing. Megan stayed silent, but she didn't pull away. Her leg remained against mine, warm, close. It was all I could think about, this new intensity that had taken over the night. The quiet stretched until she spoke again. Do you ever see us differently? My heart lurched. I turned to her, searching her face, but it was unreadable. She just watched me, waiting, as if I held the answer she needed. What are you getting at? I asked, my voice unsteady. The air crackled like something long dormant was stirring. I wanted to brush it off, act like it was nothing, but I couldn't. Not with every glance, every touch, screaming something else. What if I do? I whispered, barely audible. Her eyes widened slightly, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. But then her expression softened and she leaned closer, her breath warm against my skin. Then I'm not alone, she said. Her words hung there, stealing my breath. My head spun, fear, thrill, confusion crashing together, none of it making sense. Megan didn't rush me. She just sat there, steady, giving me space to decide what came next. My throat tightened, my heart hammering. I didn't know what this meant or what would break if I leaned in. But in that moment, with her so close, her words echoing, I didn't care. Some questions don't need answers, they just demand you feel them. Her gaze held mine, unwavering, filled with something I couldn't pin down. I couldn't look away. I wanted to speak, to act, but I was frozen, torn between fear and this relentless pull toward her. Jason, she said softly, my name a private vow. You can always talk to me. You know that. It wasn't just her words, it was the raw honesty in her voice. No teasing, no games, just truth. It sent a shiver through me, the kind that signals something monumental is coming. I know, I murmured, my voice barely mine. It's just messy. Messy isn't bad, she said, easing back slightly, but the connection between us didn't fade. Sometimes messy means it's worth untangling. She looked at me, really looked, and my heart pounded. She saw through me, and for once I didn't want to hide. I hadn't realized I'd shifted closer, our knees touching again, deliberate this time. She didn't retreat. Her head tilted, eyes probing mine. What are we doing, Megan? I asked, voice low. I don't know, she said, a nervous smile flickering. But it doesn't feel wrong, does it? I wanted to say it did, to be the one to stop this, but I couldn't lie. No, I said, the truth slipping out, and that was enough. Megan closed the distance, her breath grazing my skin. My heart raced, a jumble of nerves and hope. When her lips met mine, the world dissolved. The kiss was tentative at first, testing reality. Her hand grazed my jaw, sending shivers down my spine. I didn't think. I kissed her back, surrendering to the moment. It didn't feel strange or forbidden. It felt inevitable, like we'd been circling this forever. Her kiss deepened, confident now, her other hand sliding behind my neck, drawing me closer. I sighed softly, and she smiled against my lips as if my reaction was the confirmation she needed. When we parted, I was breathless, my mind reeling. Megan stayed close, her forehead against mine, fingers tangled in my hair. You okay? She asked, her voice calm but warm. I nodded, still processing. Yeah, I think so. She laughed softly, her thumb brushing my jaw. You think? I don't know what to think, I admitted, voice shaky. But I don't regret it. Good, she said, her smile growing. Neither do I. Her words sank deep, easing a weight I hadn't named. This was Megan, my twin, my closest friend. And now somehow more, in a way I'd never grasped until now. We didn't talk much after that. The silence felt peaceful, like we both knew this was just the beginning. She wrapped an arm around me, pulling me close. I rested against her, her heartbeat steady under my ear, and for the first time in ages, I felt at ease. Does this change everything? I asked, voice barely a whisper. Her eyes met mine, serious, stirring something in my chest. Does it need to? She replied. I hesitated, her question echoing. Maybe it already has. She nodded slowly, her fingers tracing soothing patterns on my arm. Maybe that's okay, she said after a moment, her voice carrying a quiet hope I hadn't expected. Her words felt monumental, holding all we were too afraid to say. I didn't know what this meant for us or if we could keep it hidden within these walls. But Megan's steady presence made me believe we might. What if someone finds out? I blurted, unable to stop myself. Her brow furrowed, her hand stilling. No one has to, Jason. This belongs to us. No one else gets a say. Her words stirred relief and fear in equal measure. I wanted to trust her, to believe we could guard this moment. But part of me still dreaded what might come. She must have seen my unease because she shifted closer, cupping my cheek. Hey, she said, her thumb grazing my skin. We don't need all the answers tonight. One step at a time, okay? I nodded, her touch calming my racing thoughts. Megan was always the brave one, unfazed by fear. I envied that. Now I was leaning on it, trusting she'd guide us through whatever lay ahead. The clock's soft ticking pulled me back, a reminder that the night was finite. I glanced at the window, the dark sky speckled with stars, vast and endless. We should probably get some sleep, I said, though I didn't want to move. Probably, she agreed, but she stayed put, her hand warm on my arm. Eventually, we rose and climbed the stairs, the house silent save for the stairs' faint creaks. Megan walked ahead, her presence a comfort in the dark. At my bedroom door, I paused, hand on the knob, reluctant to let this end. I didn't know why I lingered, I just felt it wasn't over. Megan stopped behind me, close enough to feel her warmth. "You good?" she asked, her voice soft but certain. I nodded, though my thoughts were knotted. "Yeah, I don't want this to stop." Her hand found mine, squeezing gently. "It doesn't have to," she said. Her words enveloped me, loosening the tightness in my chest. I opened the door, and Megan followed. The room felt smaller, the air thick with unspoken energy. She didn't hesitate, pulling back the covers and slipping into my bed like it was natural. I stood frozen, thoughts racing, but her calm presence, relaxed like she belonged, silenced them. "Come on," she said, patting the space beside her. "It's just me." But it wasn't just her. It was Megan, my twin, who knew me inside out. Yet, in that moment, she was someone new, someone I was seeing clearly for the first time. I slid in beside her, the mattress shifting as we settled. Megan propped herself on an elbow, her eyes meeting mine in the moonlight filtering through the curtains. Her familiar features seemed different now, softened by shadows. "You're overthinking again," she said, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "Can you blame me?" I whispered. "No," she said softly. "But you don't have to. Not tonight." Her fingers brushed my jaw, light but electric, making my chest ache in the best way. I leaned into her touch, eyes closing briefly, savoring the calm. Then she kissed me again, not cautious this time, sure, deep, unleashing something we'd both held back. Her hand slid behind my neck, pulling me closer, our bodies melding, her warmth seeping into me. I didn't question it. I felt her fingers in my hair, her breath hitching between kisses, her heartbeat syncing with mine. The world faded, leaving only us. Every touch, every shared breath felt like uncovering something we'd always known. When we stopped, my body buzzed, light and unsteady. My skin still tingled where she'd touched. She stayed close, forehead against mine, fingers in my hair. "I'm not going anywhere," she whispered, her voice steady, rich with emotion. I couldn't speak, just nodded, believing her fully for the first time. Morning light slipped through the curtains, bathing the room in a soft gold. I stirred, disoriented, until Megan's arm around me brought it all back. My chest tightened, the night's weight settling like a delicate secret. Megan slept beside me, her face serene in a way I rarely saw. Her features, so familiar, now carried a new depth, making my heart twist. This was Megan, not just my twin, but someone I'd known in every light, and now something more. I stayed still, watching her breathe, my mind a storm of unnamed emotions. Part of me wanted to slip away, to create space before the day pressed in. But a stronger part couldn't move, tethered by her presence, craving it in a way I didn't understand. As if sensing me, Megan stirred, her eyes fluttering open, meeting mine with a tenderness that ached. She didn't speak, just held my gaze, the silence heavy with all we left unsaid. "Morning," she mumbled, voice husky with sleep. "Morning," I whispered back. We stayed still, the night's weight lingering, heavy but welcome. Megan's hand found my face, her thumb grazing my cheek, so gentle it stole my breath. "You okay?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. I nodded, though the knot in my chest remained. "Yeah, just trying to make sense of this." Her lips curved slightly. "It means we dropped the act." Her bluntness caught me off guard. "And then what?" Her fingers paused, her expression softening. "We figure it out together." Her quiet confidence anchored me unexpectedly. I didn't have answers, and maybe I never would, but Megan's belief that this was okay calmed my inner chaos. The day unfolded slowly, every moment tinged with new awareness. We didn't address it directly, moving through the morning with a tacit understanding that what happened didn't need dissecting, it just was. The outside world intruded that afternoon with a text from Mom saying they'd be home soon. Our fragile bubble, where time had paused, was about to burst. "They'll be back soon," I said, breaking the quiet. Megan glanced at me, her face unreadable. "And?" "I don't know," I admitted, worry creeping in. "What now?" She set her mug down, leaning back with a calm that countered my turmoil. "Nothing changes, Jason, unless we choose it." Her words soothed, but reality loomed. "What if they find out?" "They won't," she said firmly. "This is ours." No one else gets to weigh in. Her conviction eased me, though the secret's weight lingered, not shame, but fear of the unknown, of navigating this uncertain path with only each other in a world that wouldn't understand. As the day went on, the house filled with our parents' return, their laughter, the clatter of bags echoing through halls that had been ours alone. I wondered how long until we'd find that solitude again, a space to breathe without the world's weight. The shift from that morning's intimacy to the house's bustling normalcy felt jarring, almost harsh. Megan and I fell back into our roles, Ari's masking the new complexity between us, a secret we couldn't voice. But as evening deepened, the weight of what we shared pressed harder, impossible to ignore as our parents' voices faded, leaving an echo of a life we no longer fully fit. The unspoken grew too vast for these walls, a tension humming in the air, heavy and stifling. Late that night, in a silence both calm and oppressive, I found Megan on the couch, eyes on the TV, but her tense shoulders betraying her. She didn't look up, but a flicker of something crossed her face. "Can't sleep?" I asked, voice low, cutting through the thick quiet. "Something like that," she muttered, her tone heavy with unvoiced thoughts. I sat beside her, the distance between us sharper than all day, as if the intimacy we'd shared had stretched into a chasm. The silence stretched thin, ready to snap, until Megan turned to me, her gaze piercing, heart-stopping in its intensity. "Do you regret it?" she whispered, the question heavy, unexpected. My answer came instantly, as if waiting. "No. You." Her lips twitched into a faint smile, heavy with meaning. The day's tension dissolved, replaced by something lighter, vital. "Never," she said, and relief flooded me, the honesty of her words breaking the dam. Megan shifted closer, her hand finding mine, her fingers lacing through, a touch that said more than words. "This doesn't have to be messy," she said, her voice steady, her grip firm, grounding me. For the first time in forever, I believed her. "One step at a time," she added, and I nodded, her words a lifeline, offering calm I'd craved all day. The uncertainty that had haunted me since we crossed that line felt less like a threat, more like a journey we'd face together, no matter the stakes. As the night deepened, the silence grew comfortable. Megan's arm pulled me close, and I leaned into her warmth, finding peace. In that moment, I knew, without words, that whatever lay ahead, we'd tackle it together, no matter how complex or daunting.